Because if we're creative and we're masterminding, we can identify problems that exist today that didn't exist yesterday. True, true. Are there a lot of new problems that have popped up over the last 3, 7, 12, 15 days that didn't exist before then? Yes. And do you think there are entrepreneurs out there right now that are creatively coming up with solutions to those problems right now? And they have a database of people that they can market this to that want that solution right now. And they're going to get rich, guess when? Now. Right now. How many agree? How many agree that with the right marketing, the right product, there's a lot of people out there looking for solutions. If you got it, you'll get rich. Yeah. So to me, masterminding, learning, becoming creative, thinking like an entrepreneur is one of the greatest things you can have, because then you're not at the mercy of the economy or anything. All you're doing is you're going to use your creativity to solve problems. What are you going to do? Yeah, you're going to, exactly. Say it again, please. Raise your hand if you're capable of doing that. Now, the problem for most people is they don't ever use their creativity, so creativity is like a muscle. So if you're not used to being creative, when it comes time to be creative, it's kind of like the person that's never run a marathon and say, well, go run one. I can't even run 100 yards. So when do all of us need to start really working on our creativity? Yeah, absolutely. Every single one of us right now have to start using our imagination. And in the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill has a whole step on, guess what? Using your imagination. Yeah. He goes into real detail. By the way, unfortunately, I'm going to postpone. I'm not canceling. I'm postponing my Think and Grow Rich weekend, because in fairness to everybody, we don't want to have, I want to be respectful to what's going on in the world right now. How many think that's a good idea? Right? We need to be respectful for what's going on right now. And I'm thinking more and more, well, guess what does that mean? That means that there has to be more and more stuff being done virtually. How many would agree? Right. So guess what I'm going to be really focusing on over the next 30, 60, 90 days? Yeah. How many agree virtual is going to have to be the way, at least? They're saying this could last for another 6 months. You better be prepared to adapt in changing times. How many would agree? Right? So how many think that going virtual is going to have to be one of the tools you're going to have to be able to do on a regular basis and be comfortable doing it? Right? And a lot of them right now, they're very uncomfortable doing anything virtually. But I will tell you that anything you do right now, I'm talking to a couple of people right now, partnering with them about creating virtual businesses. How many think it's a good idea maybe to be in the virtual business right now? Helping people have their own virtual business. How many think it would be a good idea right now to have your own virtual business? Yeah, if you have your own virtual business, they don't have to come to you. How many people right now do you think, rather than going out shopping, just want to go on Amazon because everything can be delivered to them? They don't have to go out. If you have a business right now where you don't have to, they can buy it from your site, and then they don't have to come to you, and you don't have to deliver it to them because there's a delivery system in place, how many think that might be a good thing to do? How many think that might be a good thing to start looking at like right now?
The thing too is that not only are businesses going to be virtual, the people that are willing to mastermind
yes,
are going to raise to another level because they're willing to go against the grain.
Totally.
Because the virtual business is not going to help you develop relationships.
No. You know what? How many of you guys believe that there's actually a system to build relationships virtually? How many think that there's actually a system to do that? Yeah. In fact, I will tell you, if there isn't, I'm going to create one. Absolutely. Yeah, I know lots of people that have clients in other continents that they've never met personally, but they built an entire relationship online virtually. How many think that's possible? Sure. So to me, by the way, good morning, Jonathan. Would you do me a favor? I don't know if we're live yet. Would you just find out if we're live yet? Oh, we're live?
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, great. All right. Where's Randy? Did we lose Randy? Okay. Oh, okay. So, all right. So I don't know. All right. So welcome to everybody who is watching virtually. And Randy, are we good to go here? Have you shared it? Okay. And can you see comments that are being written on Corey's feed. Because most people, if they're going to write a comment, will see it on Corey's feed. So you won't see it on my feed. You'll actually have to go back to Corey's feed to see it. So if you are watching, welcome to everybody. We're kind of doing this makeshift right now. We're figuring it all out as we go along. And thank you for showing up. We really, really, truly appreciate it. We just got started here a few minutes ago. We're talking about what the opportunities are. And really, again, we are a mastermind. So what are we, guys? Thank you. We're a mastermind. And while you're watching at home, you're part of this mastermind. And so please, please, please feel part of the mastermind community. Write your comments in. And every once in a while, I'll be checking in with Randy. And Randy will tell me who's on board and where you're living and what's going on in your life and all that kind of good stuff. So we have a very, very skeletal crew here today. First of all, thank you, guys. You know, we say 80% of all success is just what? Yeah, so instead of reaching around and patting both your neighbors on the back, because that's not what we're doing. Okay, so very, very quickly, what we're going to be doing for the next while is namaste. So first of all, I think it's a great thing anyways. So turn to your neighbors and give them a namaste. Namaste. Namaste to you guys. Namaste. Namaste. All right, good. Speaking any training real quickly, you guys know the shtick. I have 2 rules, and the first rule is this: don't believe a word I say. Thank you. And why do I always remind everybody in all of my trainings, and especially those of you that don't really know me all that well, I always remind people not to believe a word I say. Why do I always remind everybody not to believe a word I say? Because it's only coming from my own experience, and that doesn't make it true or false or right or wrong. It just makes it my experience. But whose experience is important here today? Mine. Yeah, you guys, your experience is important here today. You guys that are watching right now, your experience is important here today. So what I can tell you for sure, is that the principles and the ideas that we talk about at not only every single Tuesday morning, but at all of my trainings all week long, these are principles that have transformed my life, and they've now transformed the lives of literally thousands and thousands and thank you, thousands of other people. And if you learn these principles, and it's easier said than done. If you learn these principles and you actually apply them in your life, there's no doubt in my mind your life is going to be transformed too. None. So the all-important question is this: how many of you guys are willing to be open? And what's the key word? Open. Yeah, open. Open. You have to be open to actually checking this stuff out, applying it in your life, and seeing if it's going to work for you the same way it worked for me. So how many guys want to be open 100%? Is anybody not? Okay, good. We're going to find out. Now, as for rule number 2, since we're all spending our precious time here, and you guys are spending your precious time here as well, how many would agree your time is precious? Yep. Yeah. What's more precious than our time? Not much of anything, right? And so since we're spending our precious time here, especially this is such an unusual time in our society, in the world, really, for that matter. How many of you guys want to get the very, very, very most out of today's training? Good. How many of you guys want to learn faster? Good. How many want to remember more of what you learn? Great. And research indicates the key to all of that is what? Yeah, I saw the master of the master of the master who was incredible at taking a group of people, and as long as they were willing to participate at 100%, he could transform them into superstars as entrepreneurs. His name was T. Harv Eker. Raise your hand if you've ever heard of Harv. And if you were willing to participate, what's the key word? Participate. And just do exactly what he told you to do, there was no way, what's the word? No way you weren't going to be successful. The problem is our current programming says, well, that's okay for Harv, I'm going to do it my way. You guys know what I'm talking about? Yeah, absolutely. So Harv was an expert. What's the word? Expert. He mastered the skill of accelerated learning techniques. Accelerated learning techniques. That's not easy to say. Let me hear you guys say it. Accelerated learning technique. Yeah, that's having people raise their hands or finish the last word off, at the end of your sentence, right? Having people write stuff down, having people repeat things. Why? That's all accelerated learning techniques. How many think that's a good idea? Yeah, and unfortunately, I can tell you right now, I was just at Grand Canyon University doing some teaching, and I can tell you that students are not equipped to deal with someone that actually wants them to participate. How many would agree? Yeah, I'm telling you, No wonder why kids leave school brain dead. What a frickin' boring environment. Teachers need to be taught how to teach and keep their students involved. How many would agree? Oh my gosh. I mean, it's time like for a major revolution. And I was saying, I mean, I'm teaching a bunch of entrepreneurial kids that are seniors at Grand Canyon University. You know how prepared these entrepreneurial kids are to go out into the world and make a living? Oh my God. Not even close. Not even close. And for me, it's like, okay, well, this is what the school system is set up to produce. Right? That's why I'm so passionate about what I do, why I love to keep the legacy going of what Harv did. Because Harv understood that inside every single one of you is the potential, unlimited potential. How many would agree? If you really, truly want to become fantastic at anything you want to become fantastic at, you can. How many would agree? Right? And that's true for everybody out there as well. And the only problem is, not enough people are reminding you that you have this potential. Not enough people are guiding you to get to that point, right? People like BP right now with the unf your, you know, what's the title?
Fuck your mindset.
Yeah, okay, you say it, right? Unfuck your mindset, right? Look, you know what? I salute you. I'm so grateful to you. You are a shining example of repetition being the mother of learning. How many would agree? You know, virtually at this point, how many times do you think we've been through this book together, BP? 30 times. So, you know what? Every time I go through this book, I learn something new. Every time. Or I get reminded about something I've completely forgotten about. How many guys know what I'm talking about? Right? We need these constant reminders. And fortunately, you know, for me, I saw firsthand a person that was truly 1 in a billion. And I'm talking about the Harv Eker here. And you know, there's such a thing as hero worship. Trust me, I love Harv to death, and Harv is a human being. He has his good points and he has his not so good points. How many would agree, right? So I mean, I'm not blinded to the fact that Harv was not a perfect person. I'm not a perfect person. If any of you guys are perfect people, God bless you, because you're extraordinary. But I have my faults, Harv has his faults, but I will tell you that when the more you get to know somebody, the more you can respect their genius if they have it. Raise your hand if you agree that's true. You spend somebody with someone over a long period of time, and you see the way they think, and you see the things they do, and you see the results they get, and you say, this person is truly an unbelievable genius at what he does. I don't know anybody on the planet that can do what this person can do. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's a very, very, very rare situation. And so I feel blessed and honored to keep the legacy of what Harv has taught to literally, and still does. He doesn't do the training anymore. He's pretty much retired now. But you know, here in North America, there's a company called Success Resources America, and they teach a lot of Harv's old programs. And all across the rest of the world, Success Resources markets Harv's programs. Harv just doesn't do the training anymore. It's still his company, still his programs. These are programs he was teaching 20 years ago. Why do you think these programs he was teaching 20 years ago still work today?
People are people.
Right. Almost everything we're going to talk about is based on human psychology. What's it based on?
Human psychology.
If the better you understand how you work, the better you understand how other people work. That's the secret to all of this. Human psychology. So the things that he was teaching, the principles and the concepts and the philosophies that he was teaching, the same stuff that Napoleon Hill was teaching. It was true then, it's still true now. When Napoleon Hill wrote the book Outwitting the Devil in 1938, he said 98% of all people are drifters. They wake up in the morning, they have no idea what their purpose in life is or why they even really get up. How many guys know what I'm talking about? They let the winds of fate determine what direction their life is going to go in. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about here. He said only 2% decide that they're going to have a definite chief aim and have a definite direction and create a plan and make it happen. Only 2%. Now, that was back in 1938. Do you think that's still true today?
Yes.
How many agree? It's still as true today as it was then. Why haven't things changed? Why is it that, you know, 80 years ago, 98% of all people woke up not really knowing what their purpose in life is, or why they wake up, or what they want to do, or what their mission in life is. And that was true 80 years ago. It's still true today. Why? What about education?
They're not taught.
Not taught what?
They're not taught how to use their mind. They're not taught how to use their, you just said the word, it just went out of my head. Their imagination. We're like robots.
We are. How many would agree? See, to me, that's why I have such a passion for what I do. Because, in my opinion, if you want to think of your mind as nothing more than a huge filing cabinet, right? So imagine here's your mind, and well, let's pull out the filing cabinet. Let's pull out the one that says financial freedom. And let's look what files you have inside your filing cabinet that says, here's why you want to become financially free, and here's how you're going to do it. Okay, so how many people do you think don't even have that file in their filing cabinet? Most people don't even have one. Or if they do, compared to, if I want money, I got to go to work. How big is that file in most people's filing cabinets?
95%.
Yeah, because how many times have we reinforced it by going to work so we could earn money? And every time we go to work, guess what we're reinforcing? If I want money, I got to go to work. And if you do it day after day after day after day after day, year after year after year after year, guess what you believe when it comes to money? If you want it, guess what you got to do? Yeah, but what if all those days, instead of saying working income, you were saying passive income, residual income? What do I got to be doing to creating passive income, residual income, passive income, residual income? And you did that every day, day after day, week after week, month after month. At what point would you go from being I got to go to work to earn money to I got to create passive income? At what point would you transition over? In the first day, the second day, the third day? Is it going to take some time? Repetition is the mother of. If you really want to do something, you got to do it again and again and again and again and again and again. Listen, I've read this book 1,000 times, and I could read it 1,000 more. And I hope you can appreciate what I'm talking about here, because every single time I read it, guaranteed there's going to be something in this book that I'm not doing, and when I see it, it bothers the heck out of me. You guys know what I'm talking about? I'm reading it. I've read it 1,000 times. Why am I not doing it? What is wrong with me? You guys know what I'm talking about? Right? So, how many of you guys are willing to participate this morning 100%? Anybody not? Okay, we're going to find out. Right? And just for the record, how many of you guys wouldn't raise your hands no matter what I asked you? Okay, good, good. All right. And Randy, do we have anybody viewing? Do we have any comments? Anybody sharing anything with us?
Mostly they're just saying hello, Mary Stewart.
Oh, hi, Mary. I miss you.
Joey is there.
Joey? Oh, man. Hey, everybody say hi to Joey, too, right? Hi, Joey. Hope you're feeling better, buddy.
Robert Montgomery.
Hey, Robert. Great to see you, man, or see that you're here.
Joe Ramirez.
Okay, Joe. Okay.
Amy's on.
And Amy, we miss you. Hopefully we'll see you soon. All right. Well, very good. Welcome to everybody. Please, you're more than welcome to add your comments. And that way we'll respond if you have anything to say. So before we get into today's wealth file, this is a very, as I was saying before, this is really a very, very unusual time in the world's history. I'm 66 years old, and in my 66 years, I've never been through what we're going through right now. And the thing that really makes it interesting, if you want to use that word, is that we don't really know how long it's going to take for the world to come through this, right? Some people are hoping, well, if everybody kind of like keeps social distancing and self-quarantining within a couple of weeks to a month, it should be pretty much behind us. And then you hear people like the Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization that says, figure about 6 months. So imagine 6 months of the world being like it is right now. You know, I know that cities right now, counties right now, are going into lockdown. Have you guys heard about San Francisco? And Corey was mentioning to me that, you know, when there's lockdown, there's no transfer of titles. There's none of that stuff going on. So in the lending industry, how many months could you go without making loans before your lending business is no longer in business anymore? Now, I own rental properties with my wife, Sue, and anybody that owns rental properties, they're passing a bill that says if your tenants can't pay the rent, you can't evict them. So imagine now if all of a sudden you've got a bunch of rentals and now you've got tenants in there, they can't pay the rent because they've lost their job or whatever, and now you're not getting the income and you're not allowed to evict them. What's that going to mean for a lot of people? Yeah, absolutely. But my point is, we don't have any idea whatsoever what the ramifications are going to be. The collateral potential damage that's going to happen. So real quickly, what I'd like to do is go around the room right now, and I'd like for each one of you to kind of share with what's going on in the world right now, how does that make you feel? Not what do you think, because I don't really care about what you think right now. I want to know how you're feeling. You guys know what I'm talking about? And I want for all of you guys to write down, how does what's going on in the world right now make you feel? All right? So let's go around the room. Randy, just in a few words, what's going on in the world right now, how do you feel about it? How do you feel?
I feel a little bit isolated, like I can't hang out with friends like I'm used to.
Okay.
And I just want to stay isolated.
Okay.
But I feel isolated.
Okay, but you came here today.
I'm social distancing, like you said.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm interacting with this piece of glass.
Okay, there you go. There you go. And George, how you feel about all of this?
Well, I see two sides. A little bit of makes you uncertainty, but on the flip side, I see opportunity.
Good. That's good. All right. Brian?
I'd agree 100% on opportunity. It's made me think more of becoming more principled.
Yep.
And making an offer to buy a property rather than worry about what my clients might want to buy or sell because they're scared.
Yep.
And you have to be able to show them confidence. I've got a couple that one of them is in the financial industry, so there's a little challenge to it because the market's not so much.
Sure.
However, the other client, if you reassure them, hey, we're going to get through this together, you're a sphere. He's like, oh, okay, well then that's just like someone telling the kids to be okay, right?
Yep. Absolutely. We all need that reassurance because.
Reassure them where
Yep.
they're at
Yep.
and what they came to you for in the first place, and that your product or service can still help them get through that process regarding what's going on in the world.
Exactly. BP, you know what? Yeah, go ahead.
You've got to be that strength with those around you.
No question. In fact, I was just about to say, BP, you have a huge following. People are looking at you as a leader. What, seeing what's going on, what is the message that you want to come out of you so that the people that are looking at you as someone that they look up to, what's the message that you feel that it's important that you convey, or you don't feel it's important that you convey a message?
This too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
Whether it takes a month or a few months or a year or whatever, at some point it'll pass and people will figure it out. Even if all the regulations change, people will figure it out. We're very resourceful.
Okay. This too shall pass. Okay, I like that. Okay. Armando. You agree with BP? Okay. All right. All right. So right now your feeling is this too shall pass. Okay. All right. Sheila?
I agree, but I think people are panicking.
You think people are panicking?
Go to Costco. Go to the stores. I walk into the stores and I go, oh my God, is this really happening?
I know.
It's like weird,
I know.
I'm one of the senior citizens that should be staying home.
Yes.
My husband said to me, don't go anywhere. I said, okay.
Yes, and I was at the grocery store a couple of days ago, and virtually all the shelves were empty. And there was this lady with her cart, and she was next to me, and it was only she had a few things. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me. It's like, we just looked at all these shelves that are I said, is this a dream? Does this feel like surreal? It's like I had never ever in my entire lifetime ever experienced anything like this before. So You know what? I not only do I think it's a test, I think the universe wants to shake things up. I do. I think the universe wants to shake things up. And every once in a while, do you think shaking things up is a good thing? Yeah. See, I do. Sometimes there's a little bit of pain during the shaking period. But you know what? It was time. How many agree that it was time for a change of what's going on out there? Is that maybe it's time for a change in your life? And maybe this is a reminder that what you take as normal, nothing is normal forever. Things constantly are in a state of change and flux. How many would agree? So the more confident you are in yourself, this is one of the most important things I want to share with all you guys is, I believe this is the greatest time on the planet to build your self-confidence up. Because if you believe that no matter what goes on in the world, you have the confidence in yourself that you can be creative enough or align yourself with the right people that you can not only survive but thrive, there's nothing beats your self-confidence, man. And you know what? Self-confidence is not something other people can inject in you like you can just go get a shot of self-confidence. Self-confidence is something you can build inside yourself. How many would agree? And in the book, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill shows you step by step exactly how to build your self-confidence. And I can't think of anything better than all of us could be doing right now is improving our own self-confidence. How many would agree with that? So Johnny, tell me how you're feeling right now. Let's just continue going around the room.
I totally agree. It's a test. To me, it's a test. So in times like these, it's like the family's panicking and a lot of fear. I have to lean on my faith and just say, this will pass. And, it's not going to be forever. So I have to be the strong one for my family.
Yep.
So it's just leaning on faith and preaching that.
Outstanding. How many of you do have to be the strong one? Yeah, and you know what? I think this is a great opportunity for every single one of us to step up as a leader and lead the people around us to be intelligent. I see people that say, it's so overblown. Well, you know what? If you listen to the press, it is. You don't have to listen to any news at all. I saw one idea that said, if you want to know what's going on, go to the CDC site, which stands for Center for Disease Control, and go to the WHO site, which is the World Health Organization. Neither one of them are political. They're not saying it's any politics fault or anything else. They're just going to give you the facts. What do you guys really want? Yeah, do you want it mixed in with a whole bunch of opinions on why it's this person's fault or that person's fault or this hysteria or that hysteria? Or would you like to just go to the experts, go directly to their sites and get the correct information? Okay. Otherwise, everything else is half-truths, part-truths. What is the role of the media? To educate you or to drive up ratings so they can charge more for their ads? If they can scare you, look, if for the next 6 months, CNN can have you glued to their TV network for 24 hours a day to get every bit of information, how much do you think their ratings are going to go up and how much more do you think they can charge for ads? This is why they're in business. They're not in business to educate and inform us. They're in business to create drama to drive up their ratings so they can earn more money. You guys understand this? You think most Americans realize this? No. No. And that's what the problem is. What I would suggest to all of us is don't watch the frickin' news at all. Every day you can check in at the Center for Disease Controls, and you can check in on the World Health Organization and get the facts, and everything else is pure BS with all kinds of drama thrown in to keep you hooked and to keep you worried and to have people doing ridiculous things like, why is toilet paper so important that everybody has to have a year's supply? I don't understand it. This is a message for all of you guys. When I say don't believe a word I say? Because if you do, you're sheeple. Don't believe a word the press says. Don't believe a word the president says. Don't believe a word any of these people say. They all have their own political agendas and their own reasons for saying what they're going to say. Don't believe a word anybody says. If I were you guys, I would suggest turn off the frickin' news and go to the CDC and go to the World Health Organization. There may be one or two independent bodies that are not political, that are just going to give you the real facts. What are they saying right now? The top people are saying social distancing. True or true? Right? They're saying keep the crowds of 10 or less. True or true? Right? They're saying as much as possible, if you don't feel well, isolate yourself. True or true? I mean, they're saying wash your hands frequently. True or true? They're saying don't put your hands to your face. True or true? Is it hard to do these things? Is it? Okay, well, that's true. Okay, right. But my point is, there's probably a list of 6 or 7 things we need to be doing now that we weren't doing before. True or true? Other than that, I mean, come on. I see this as such a huge opportunity. Let's finish going around the room. How are you guys feeling back there, Angel? You're a young kid. You know, you're early in life. You don't. If you had 50 years behind you and this happened, it would look at it differently. But how are you feeling right now with what's going on? You feel great? Okay. Yeah.
It's fun, like, messing with people, like, especially if they're kind of freaking out, I kind of cough a lot, you know, but other than that, it's interesting.
Okay, do you think it's serious?
No.
You don't think it's serious? Okay. All right, how many people think it's serious? How many people think it's not serious? Okay, all right. It's interesting. See, I will tell you this. In my opinion, what I've come to appreciate is, for most everybody in this room, we're pretty healthy people. The disease itself is not, in my opinion, not that serious to a healthy person. It's not like the Black Plague, where once you got it, no matter how healthy you were dying. The problem is that it's easily spread from one person to the next. That's the problem. And you may have it and not even realize it, because the symptoms sometimes don't even show up, especially in healthy people. And now it's like any person you come in contact with that has a lower immune system, you could be their death sentence. Now, how many of you want to be responsible for someone else's death? And you don't even realize it. Who was the basketball player? Rudy Gobert. What did he do? He was infected with it, and to joke about it, he went on all the microphones and made sure he smeared his hand over all the microphones to everybody else, because he thought it was so funny. He said, it's not that important. He had it. He gave it to one of his teammates, who gave it to a guy on another team who played against him. It's not important, right? You guys don't realize what's going on in Italy right now. They're saying that the wave that's going on in Italy right now, we're just a week and a half behind it. They don't have enough hospital beds. They don't have enough treatment. They don't have enough of anything right there. We don't see it here right now, so we don't think it's all that important. So to me, I'm telling all you guys, if you don't think it's important, I'm not going to tell you can believe whatever you want. Believe it's not important. It is important. That's why not only is every sports league shut down, not only have movie theaters shut down, not only is Broadway shut down, the whole frickin' world is shutting down. And this is not politicians saying this. This is the Center for Disease Control saying, if we're going to control this thing, otherwise everybody that has a weaker immune deficiency is going to get this thing. That's pretty critical. So to me, you believe whatever you guys want to believe. Don't believe a word I say. Maybe this is a whole big hoax. Nobody actually is being sick. But, the sources that I go to have led me to believe that really, unless we get this thing under control, it just spreads like wildfire. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's so easy to spread, it's ridiculous. And they say it can, the germs itself, the virus itself, can live for up to 14 days in the right conditions. So you could go into a restaurant, sit down, a person who had it, sneezed, and now that's on the menu, and now you touch the menu. Guess what? That's how easy it is to get, right? That's what's going on right now. So anyways, okay, you guys real quickly, tell me your thoughts about how are you feeling about what's going on right now. Tell me how you're feeling. Either one. BP? Yes. Totally. That's a great point. How many people hate change? Do most people hate change? Oh man, we hate it like a passion. So that's a great point. You're right.
So yeah, that, and then something that my wife said, and even something I had kind of noticed anyway, is allowing people to kind of like look to the future. I was hearing something about like the kids are doing like virtual
Sure.
field trips.
Yep.
So kind of like it's gonna open up opportunities for like new markets, I guess I would say.
Sure.
People will be able to, you know, they're still doing like Postmates.
So overall, you're optimistic. You're not freaking out. Okay, great. Okay, all right. And finally, they're panicking too fast. Yes. I think that's a great point. Really, you know what we're seeing right now is we're seeing how mentally weak the majority of people are. Really, that's what we're seeing right now. We're really seeing, you know, that America, not just America, it's true all over the world, that what Napoleon Hill said is true. That 98% of all people out there are drifters. I call them sheeple, call them whatever you want, but they can be pretty much led in any direction you want to lead them, because, you know, it's kind of like once the mass hysteria begins, it spreads like wildfire. Oh my God, I got to get to the grocery store and get some food, because if I don't, there's not going to be any food anymore. Right? And once that begins, even if you were calm and rational, all of a sudden you're saying, well, shit, if I don't get to the store, there ain't going to be any food left for me. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about, right? So it feeds on itself. It becomes a frenzy, and it snowballs. And one of the things I believe we need to do is don't allow that to happen to our people. To the people you can influence, do not allow that to happen. Right? To me, you know, I will say this. I see this as a huge, gigantic opportunity. Number one is, I want to go to this right now. Who knows what this is? Who knows what this is? It's a cash flow quadrant created by who? And Sharon Lecter. Let's always make sure, you know, I can't, yeah, trust me, Sharon had a big part in all of this, and I love Sharon, and I always want to make sure Sharon gets lots of credit. So, we have 4 quadrants, which means that there's 4 different vehicles people can choose to earn their money. The first quadrant is the employee. What's it called? Employee. And the second quadrant down here is self-employed. What's it called? Self-employed. Now, 95% of all the people, of all the vehicles they could choose to create their wealth and their freedom, they choose employee or self-employed. True or true? Okay. 95% of all the people. Why do you think 95% of all the people choose to be either employees or self-employed?
They like telecommuting.
They like telecommuting? Okay, there's one reason why. Why else? Programming, right. So we have 95% of all the people earning 5% of all the profits and all the income. Is that a very smart position to put yourself in? How many of you think that would be a really of all of the choices in your life, choosing to be part of the 95% fighting over 5% of the pie, that's a really smart choice to make? How many think that that's a smart choice to make? How many think that's a totally ridiculous, stupid choice to make? Then why do 95% of all people make that choice?
It's easier.
It's easier? Okay. You think it's easy being an employee or self-employed?
Yeah.
Okay, sometimes it is. Yep, sometimes.
Or they know and they're ignorant about applying.
Okay. So the point is that when you're an employee, is this a good vehicle to create your financial freedom? An employee. How many say yes? How many say no? Yeah, we're not using leverage here. We're trading time for money. What are we doing? Is that a smart way to create wealth? No, because there's only so many hours in a day, right? So you're limiting your income, right? Because you can only work so many hours. When you're not working, are you making any money? No. So this is a really stupid way to earn a living, yet all of us are programmed to do this, right? From day one, are we programmed to go get a job? Raise your hand if you believe the school system, our society programs us from the time we're infants that if we want to earn money, we have to go to work. We have to get a job. Okay. Now, some people, either because they can't stand their boss or can't stand working for someone else, they said, well, if I'm going to have to work, I'd rather work for myself than somebody else. So they become self-employed. Now, self-employed, are you still basically trading time for money? Yeah. Instead of having a job, you created a job for yourself. Isn't that true? Yeah, that's all you've done. You don't really own a business, although many people who are self-employed think they own a business. They don't. They own a job. Isn't that true? And when they're not working, how much money is their business earning? Nothing. Okay. So 95% of all people fall into these two categories. As vehicles to create financial freedom, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate these two vehicles in terms of creating financial freedom? Low. That's not 0, because you know what? Yeah, let's say you're an employee like me, and you're working for a company and you're making 6 figures, and you take $20 or $30 or $40,000 each year and invest it down here. And over a period of time, as long as you're making enough money up here and you're investing it down here, then guess what you get to live on after a while?
Then it's a 1, because the people actually doing that.
It's few. It's few, right? Because
Even those that have high wage earning employees.
yes, most people, you're right. Because you know what? You know, there's, I forget the name of the principle. Basically what it says is your expenses will rise to meet your income. So the more money you earn, the bigger your expenses grow, right? So, and eventually what happens is and I think it's called, oh, shucks. If someone can remember what it's called, but there's a special name for it, right, where your expenses rise to meet your income. I forget the name for it. In any event, let's talk about what we want to be doing. Because how many of you guys here would like to become financially free? And how many would like to become financially free quickly? Do you think in today's society that's pretty much the only way to do it? You can't have a 10-year plan anymore the way you used to in the old days, because who the hell knows what the world's going to look like in 10 years from now? Who the hell knows what the world's going to look like in 6 months from now? True or true? So if you want to become financially free, the idea today is to become financially free quickly. How many believe that that's the way to do it? Yeah, absolutely. So on this side we have B, which stands for you're a business owner, which means you own a business system. So one of two things has to happen. You're either going to create your own business system or you're going to buy one. One or the other. You guys know what I mean? You have to have business systems in your life because you can leverage a system. What can you do? In fact, the system gets to replace who? Yeah. Now, instead of you doing the work, the system does the work. This is a totally foreign concept to virtually like 99% of all the people. True or true? When you buy McDonald's, are you buying a restaurant or are you buying the McDonald's system? Yeah, and do you have to hire high-paid, well-trained executive chefs to work in your McDonald's restaurant? Or can you hire untrained, uneducated teenagers to run your $1 million business? You don't have to have highly trained, highly educated people or whatsoever, do you? You just have to have the system, and the system takes care of everything. True or true? So the systems run the business, and the people run the systems. Let me hear you say that.
Systems run the business and the people run the system.
Say it again, please. So your job is to either create or buy a business system. Does that make sense to everybody? Raise your hand if that makes sense. Now, you can do this in your spare time while you're still working at your job. True or true? And besides, what does job stand for? Yeah, just over broke. Just over broke. You guys have heard that before. Now, why do you think most employers want to keep you just over broke?
We're leveraging you.
Yeah, they all sat down in a boardroom one day, all smoked their cigars, and they said, well, what should we pay them? You know, well, what'll keep them coming back? Well, that's what we'll pay them. Right? Now, nothing wrong with that, depending on where you're sitting, but that's exactly right. Do you want to be the person that's being leveraged, or do you want to be the person doing the leveraging? Who do you think makes more money? The person being leveraged, in other words, the person trading time for money, or the person doing the leveraging? Yeah, absolutely. Now, the problem is that, and then, of course, the fourth step is I, which stands for? Investor. And what are you leveraging when you're an investor? You're leveraging money. What are you leveraging? Yeah. When your money can produce enough income for you, you don't need to be working. That's a pretty good situation to be in. How many would agree? At the end of the day, wouldn't you love to be a full-time this? Yeah? At this point, all you're doing is being a full-time this. Now, usually, who do investors usually hook up with? Business owners. Right? A lot of business owners need angel investors. They need money, startup capital, stuff like that. So they go to the investors and say, hey man, I'll give you 25% of my business if you put $500,000 into the deal. We're going to make like $10 million in the next 3 years. Even less than that, right? And they're looking for investors. So these are the 4 quadrants. Now, only 5% of all the people are B's or I's. Why do you think that is?
Most people are programmed to trade time for money.
Yes.
They have to have an exchange of their efforts for their time.
Totally. Exactly. To be a B or an I takes a completely different set of programs. A whole bunch of new files. Raise your hand if you understand what I'm talking about. And without it, hey, let's give it up for Corey, guys. Thank you, Corey. Thank you so much for hosting us today, and we really appreciate it. And thank you again always for your support. So we're talking about the B and the I quadrant. Only 5% of all the people end up in these 2 quadrants, and what we do is we use what I call, Napoleon Hill called your imagination, and we use our imagination to leverage. What's the word? Leverage. Everything and anything that can help us. Thank you. So what can we leverage? What can we leverage?
You can leverage relationships.
How many agree? How can you leverage a relationship, BP?
By making a win-win scenario.
So in other words, maybe I need your expertise, and I can leverage your expertise because if you and I collaborate on something where I put in my expertise, you put in your expertise, we come up with something amazing. We can split it, right? That's one way. Could I leverage if you have cash and I have a great investment? Can I leverage your cash? If you don't have cash but you have amazing credit, could I leverage your credit? Okay, if you have connections that I don't have, could I leverage your connections? So there are many ways we could leverage other people. How many would agree? How many times a day are you leveraging other people? How many times a day could you be leveraging other people? All the time, every day, if that became your program. How many would agree? If that became your habit, you could leverage other people. What else could you leverage besides people? Could you leverage products? Raise your hand if you could leverage products. You have products to represent you. Instead of me having to do something, I got unlimited quantities of this product here. I can sell it to everybody and anybody in the world that needs it. Can I leverage that product? Yeah. Can I leverage the media? How can I leverage the media? Can I get on podcasts? Can I get on CNN? Can I have press releases? Are there all kinds of ways I could get free publicity using the media? Raise your hand if you could get free publicity using the media. Okay, so what else could we be leveraging? Yeah, you sure could. Yeah. Yeah, can you leverage technology? Yes. Can you leverage education? Yes. There's a million things you can leverage. Yes, go ahead. How many can leverage time? Yeah, absolutely. So many things that we can leverage, but only if we start creating the habit of thinking about the word. Leverage. What's the word? Leverage. And most people, unfortunately, you know how much time during their day they're thinking about using that word called leverage? They're not. And the best entrepreneurs in the world, you guess what we're thinking about all day long? Which means we actually have to use our mind. We have to use our imagination. We have to think creatively. True or true? Most people's brains are on autopilot. They don't want to have to think. True or true? This is the problem why 98% of all people are unconscious. They walk around very superficial. Whereas you and me, we could look at every single person in every single situation and say, how can I leverage this? How can I leverage that person? How can we leverage what's going on in the world right now? How can we leverage that? Is there an opportunity there? Is there a huge opportunity? Raise your hand if you believe that over the next 3, 6, 12 months, there are going to be people that make a fortune because of what's happening in the world right now. Because they're going to come up with an idea, they're going to write down a plan, and they're going to execute. What are they going to do? 3 things. First, they're going to have to come up with the idea, right? Everything begins with the idea. How many would agree? Then you're going to write it down into a plan. How many would agree? And then you're going to execute on that plan. How many would agree? Boom! That's it. Everything else is superfluous. Everything else is superfluous. So, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I truly believe that for almost every single one of us here in this room, the fastest way for all of us to create our financial freedom is in a business of our own. How many would agree with that? If you have enough money that you can live off your investments, great. And that's fine. But most people in this room do not have like $500,000 or $1 million. They can just invest that money and live off the cash flow from it. So from...
Before the stock market crash.
Well, there you go. But here's my point, guys. I truly believe that owning your own business, starting your own business, is truly the last bastion available today that virtually anybody, starting with very little or not a lot of money at all, or sometimes not even any money, can create financial freedom. Can do it quickly. How many of you would agree? See, I'm positive of this. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind whatsoever. So we talk about this. RV, RKRY. What does RV stand for? RK stands for? And RY stands for? Now, I want to tell you guys something, and I can't stress this enough. When we talk about 80% of all success is showing up, it's the right you showing up. Because it's not enough to be at the right place at the right time. You have to be the right person at the right place at the right time. Otherwise, it's not an opportunity for you at all. True or true? Now, the thing is that I have people coming to me all the time and saying, hey, Jeff, I'm thinking about getting into real estate. What do you think about that? Or, hey, Jeff, I'm thinking about getting into network marketing. What do you think about that? Or, hey, Jeff, I'm thinking about getting into affiliate marketing. What do you think about that? Or, hey, Jeff, I'm thinking about blah, 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 blah. What do you think about that? Here's the deal. If it's legitimate, if it doesn't violate the rights of your fellow man, so in other words, it's not something shady that you're doing under the table, and it's not something where you're ripping off other people. If it's legitimate and there are people out there making a lot of money doing it, go for it. The problem is, how many legitimate things are out there and people are making a lot of money? How many of those kind of situations are out there right now? It's a legitimate business, and there are people in that legitimate business making a lot of money. How many different vehicles do you think are out there right now? One? How many? Unlimited. Thank you, BP. So to me, that's secondary. Because when you're the right person, the right vehicle and the right knowledge is already waiting for you. The problem is, everybody's spending so much time focusing on this, and yet, what's the foundation? What are the roots? You. You are the roots. These are just vehicles. That's all they are. I guarantee you, if you decide you want to get into real estate, there are really smart people in real estate that can show you, here's the systems to use to do what you need to do. If you decide you want to if you want to start an online business right now, I guarantee you I can introduce you to the guys that will show you this is exactly how you're going to start your online business. Yet, it's like when they come to Harv, they were looking for this, and Harv says, until you're 100% focused on being the right you, forget it. Forget it. Let's talk about network marketing. Are there people out there right now in network marketing start with nothing, 1, 2, 3 years down the road, they're financially free? Yes. And they didn't have any extraordinary skills to begin with? Raise your hand, I believe that's possible. I see it. I know it. There's no doubt about it. You know how much it costs to get involved in a network marketing situation? Under $1,000 for sure. Absolutely. Then it's not about the vehicle because if there are people already out there being successful, then you know what? They're your model. But if you're not the right you, and I talk about this all the time, right? Who are your mentors? Who are your mentors? Yeah. And the thing is, You want to find someone who's really, to me, that's why it's so important. I surround myself with people that I consider, and now even more than ever, I want to surround myself with people that are really great at what they do. Napoleon Hill calls it specialized knowledge. What's it called? It's one of the 13 steps in Think and Grow Rich. What's your specialized knowledge? What are you better at than anybody else you know? What is it that you know you are great at compared to anybody else? And you want to find other people that are really great. Specialization, specialized knowledge is what it's going to take for you to be successful in business. How many would agree? If you're not great in online marketing, do you think it's important for you to find people that are great in online marketing? If you're not great at lead generation, do you think it's important to have on your team someone that's great at lead generation? If you're not good at sales and closing, do you think it's important you know people and you have people on your team that are great at closing? If you're not good at fulfillment, do you think it's important you have people you know or people on your team that are good at fulfillment? Yeah, if you're not good at customer support, do you think it's important that you know somebody or people have that skill on your team to take care of customer support? You do what your specialized skill is, and then you get the other members of your team to do what their specialized skill is, and then you have a well-oiled machine. What do you have? And then you take yourself out of the equation, you train somebody to do what you're doing, so at this point, you are no longer tactical. What's the word? You're strictly strategic. What's the word? Guess where strategic people get to do their work from? Anywhere, because strategic means thinking and tactical means doing. Which would you rather be, the person doing the thinking or the person doing the doing? Thank you. So, you know what, as much as possible, as you get good, better and better and better at creating systems, and by the way, let me ask you something. If you have robots, are robots going to catch the coronavirus? Are they? They may have other viruses, but you know, I'll tell you, a lot of the factories these days, they're all robotics. Do you think they're going to slow down because of the coronavirus? Or do you think they're going to? No, not at all. You think computers are going to, you know, computers could catch other kinds of viruses, but computers are not going to catch the coronavirus. True, true. So how much of the world today is run by computers and robots that are not going to catch this virus? Almost all agriculture, you know, back in the 1950s, 50% of the labor force worked in agriculture. You know what percentage of the labor force works in agriculture today? Less than 2%. And the country has twice as many people as in the 1950s. How are they able, with 2% of the people instead of 50% of the people, how are they able to produce enough food to feed a growing country of 330 million people? Machines. Robots, machines. So, you know, I'm not worried about food. Everybody else is worried about food. I'm not, right? And certainly, if I can build a system that's based on technical, then unless somebody hacks it, and they corrupt it, I know that this ad or this bot or this marketing funnel works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether there's a virus going on in the world or not. You guys know what I'm talking about? And I don't have to be there. I don't have to run it. Everything is done automatically. And so, as much as possible, you want to create systems around it. How many would agree that you want to build? So our goal over the next 3, 6, 10, 12, 15 months is to build systems, then take ourselves out of the equation, and now we have our own money machine. But it begins with being the right you. The right what? You. Thank you. The right you. So what I want to do is I want to get into wealth fall number 3 from the book Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And he says this: rich people are committed to being rich, and poor people want to be rich. So rich people are committed to being rich. Let me hear you say that. Poor people want to be rich. Now that's a whole different set of programs. How many would agree? You know, why would anybody want to be rich, right? So it says here, ask most people they want to be rich, and they'll look at you like you're crazy. Of course I want to be rich, they'd say. But the truth is, and Harv has said this, and I can guarantee you this is true for many, many people, most people really don't want to be rich. And he asks why? He says because a lot of people have a lot of very negative files, mental files, in their subconscious mind. So where are these files? Yeah, they have negative mental files in their subconscious mind that tells them there's something wrong with being rich. How many believe that's actually true? Yep, absolutely. He says at the MMI, and I can vouch for this, I still have all of my workbooks from all my Millionaire Mind intensives. One of the first questions it says is, what are some of the negatives about being rich or attempting to become rich? What are some of the negatives?
Most people in that mindset before having to pay too much in taxes.
Okay, so one of the negatives about making a lot of money is you're going to have to pay a lot in taxes. What else? Come on. It's too much work. Yeah, yeah. What else? What? Come on. Why do you think most people, at the end of the day, what are some of the negative things they've heard about being rich or going through the process of working to become rich? What are some of the reasons? Pros and cons. You'll never know. Okay. So let's see here. Rich, poor. Okay, so what are some of the reasons why poor people think that it may not be so great to have a lot of money or attempt to make a lot of money? They'll feel like they're being greedy. Okay, they're being greedy. Yeah, rich people are greedy. They make their sweat off of the toil of the poor. You should have enough to get by. Anything more than that, you're a pig. Right? A lot of people believe that. Yeah, you are. Why else? Why else do poor people think that there is negatives about being rich? Yes, go ahead. Okay, they'll lose their friends. All their broke friends. Yeah, what else? Yeah, they don't want to be a snob. No snob. Okay, what else? Somebody said too much, you're going to have to pay too much in taxes, right? Too much taxes. Yeah, it's pious to be poor. Is that how you spell Pious? Yeah, that's their comfort zone, absolutely. They say they want to be rich, but their comfort zone is being poor. Why else? Yeah, too much work. Okay, a lot of people feel entitled, right? I shouldn't have to do anything, right? Okay, entitled. Yeah, though you'll be criticized. Brown noser. Yeah. What's that? Okay, so lots of reasons. You know what I got to say about all this? I say bullshit. I say bullshit to all of this. And yet, people have bought this hook, line, and sinker. I'm going to tell you the 3 reasons you want to become rich. And I will tell you, number 1, you guys have heard me say this before, lifestyle. What's the word? Lifestyle. How many of you guys want to live a better lifestyle? Live in a nice home, drive a current car, be able to take care of your bills, to not be able to travel, God willing, when the world gets back to normal again. But have a better lifestyle. How many think that you deserve a better lifestyle? Now, when I said you deserve, that therein lies the big problem. How many of you believe that how many believe there are a lot of people out there that don't believe that they deserve to be rich? And that's one of the biggest, if not the biggest reason why most people are not rich, because they truly, honestly don't believe they deserve to be rich. And if you don't believe you deserve to be rich, guess what? You won't be. You guys understand what I just said? And I bet I nailed it for a lot of you guys right now, right? Because you deserve to be rich. And the problem is, when we were kids and we were bad, we were punished. When we grew up and we were bad, we punished ourselves. We punished ourselves by saying, I was bad, I don't deserve to be rich. True or true? And I'm telling you, this is the biggest challenge for almost every single person I meet, is they honestly, truly do not believe in their heart of hearts that they deserve to be rich. And I'm going to tell every single one of you guys right now, that is bullshit. You do deserve to be rich. Every single one in this room. But until you can get past that hurdle, you won't. Guys got it? Yeah, very, very important. So number one is lifestyle. You deserve a better lifestyle. You deserve the best lifestyle you can possibly give yourself. Look, if you aren't your best friend, who's going to be your best friend? As your best friend, don't you want to give yourself the best possible life you could give yourself? Don't you want to enjoy the very best life has to offer? As your best friend, don't you want to make that happen? Don't you want to encourage you to be that person? Of course. So number one is lifestyle. Number two, I heard somebody say it before, contribution. What's the word? Contribution. How many of you guys want to make a difference in this world? How many of you want to contribute it and make life better for people that are struggling? How many people do you think are struggling out there right now? How many of them would you like to be able to help? Right? So if you can help them with your gift, with your specialized skill, how many of them would you like to be able to help? And the more money you have, the more people you can help. How many agree with that? Right? I'm a big believer that, it's good to help people, if they need cash, but the old expression, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish. That's why what I'm really big on is feeding your minds with the right knowledge. So not only can you go out there and crush it, you can help a lot of other people out there that are struggling crush it as well. And you can't help them until you get there yourself and you know this stuff and you live this stuff. True or true? Okay, that's what we're talking about. So contribution. And number three is the person you need to become. Until you're a level 10 person, you will not achieve this. You won't. You won't achieve it. 3 reasons. This is all bullshit. This is what your program needs to be. Nothing. What's the word? Nothing. Should get in your way of having these 3 things right here. Nothing. That should be your mission. To live a great life, to make a major contribution, and to grow yourself into a level 10 successful person. Anything over here is bullshit. And yet 98% of all people, this is their programming. So what we need to do is, and Harv talks about it here in this book, is he talks about this. He talks about all the different BS reasons why everybody is programmed to have all these different reasons. Now what does Harv say? He says, you have to understand that when you're saying, yes, I want to be able to take nice trips, but no, I want to be pious, and poor people are pious and rich people aren't, you're sending mixed messages to the universe. How many would agree? You are. And what does Harv say? He says, I love this. He says, the universe, which is another way of saying higher power, is akin to a mail order department. On page 67, second paragraph. It is constantly, so the universe is constantly delivering people. So what's it delivering to us? People. Events, what else? Events. Yeah, and things to you. And it says you order what you get by sending energetic messages out to the universe based on your predominant beliefs. This is right out of Think and Grow Rich, when Napoleon Hill says when you auto-suggest to yourself what you want to be, you're now sending those vibrations out into the universe. Based on the law of attraction, the universe will do its best to say yes and support you. But if you have mixed messages in your life, the universe can't understand what you want. Does that make sense, everybody? Yeah. So first you say, give me money, give me money. And the universe says, okay, well, I'm going to set up this total stranger that you don't know. Somehow you're going to bump into them at the line tomorrow at the grocery store, and you're going to start talking to them, and this guy's going to have an extra $50,000. He's the perfect solution to your problem right now. Right? Okay. You can't even imagine what the universe might be lining up for you, but right after you say, bring me money, and the universe starts to line all this stuff up for you, you say, yeah, but rich people are greedy. You say, well, scratch that. I'm not going to introduce you to this guy tomorrow because you don't want to be rich. So the universe says, make up your frickin' mind. I will give you what you want, but first you must be clear. You must be what? Clear. Clarity leads to power. Let me hear you. Clarity leads to power. Twice as loud. Clarity leads to power. Come on, twice as loud. Rich people are totally clear. Rich people want this. They don't give a shit, pardon my language, about any of this. They are crystal clear from the second they wake up in the morning to the second they go to sleep. This is what they want. They say to the universe, I want this. I want this, and I want this. They are crystal clear about it. They don't send mixed messages to the universe. You guys understand what I'm talking about? And until you adopt that mindset, you will never, what's the word? Never. Become rich. Now, in the time we have left, Harv talks about the 3 levels of commitment, 3 levels of wanting. He says, you ask people, do you want to be rich? What do you think everybody says?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, in other words, if you give it to me, I'll take it. Okay, that's a level 1. On the energy scale, wanting something is a level 1 out of 10. You guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, the problem is, doing all that is a level 10 challenge with a level 1 want. Taking on a level 10 challenge, you have no chance of being successful. Wanting is a very, very, very weak energetic vibration. How many would agree? Wanting means shit, pardon my language. Everybody wants it. The second level that Harv talks about is the word choose. What's the word? Choose. Yeah, it's a step in the right direction. At least you're saying, well, I choose to become financially free. You know, and so people will raise that level to choose. Now, that's a different energy level. How many would agree? Right? But very often people say, well, geez, I'm trying as hard as I can, and I'm not succeeding. And Harv says, I don't really care how hard you're trying, really. Trying has very little to do with it. Really, trying has nothing to do with it. Are you willing to be unconditional? What's the word? Unconditional. In your actions. And as he begins to find out, well, what's the problem? You know, are you working 18-hour days? Well, no, I work 8-hour days. Well, that's part of the problem. You're not committed. You're not committed. You're choosing to do it, but you're choosing to do it based on, here's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it based on my parameters. That's called conditional action. What's it called? Conditional action. No. He says the third and the most important vibrational energy is a level 10, and the word is commit. What's the word? Commit. What's the word? Commit. Until you are committed 100%, until you're all in. Harv says, you know, I love the description because it was a perfect description of him. He says, the third level of wanting is I commit. What's the word? I commit. To being rich. He says the definition of the word is to devote oneself unreservedly. So how are you going to devote yourself? Unreservedly. No reservations about it. This means holding absolutely nothing back. Giving 100% of everything you've got to achieve wealth. It means being willing to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes. He says this is the way of the warrior. No excuses, no ifs, no buts, no maybes. And failure is not an option. Yeah, the warrior's way is simple. I will be rich or I will die trying. I commit to being rich. Let me hear you say that. I commit to being rich. Say it again. I commit to being rich. Say it like you mean it. I commit to being rich. Yeah, that's a powerful, powerful feeling. Now, on the top of page 71, he says, are you willing to work 16 hours a day? He says rich people are. Are you willing to work 7 days a week and give up most of your weekends? Rich people are. Are you willing to sacrifice seeing your family, your friends, and give up your recreations and hobbies? Rich people are. Are you willing to risk all your time, energy, and startup capital with no guarantee of returns? Rich people are. Rich people are. That's the difference. And you want to know something? I was with Harv while he wrote this chapter, while he wrote this wealth file. Everything he wrote, he was living. He says, are you willing to work? He says, are you willing to work 16 hours a day? Harv was working more than 16 hours a day. He had me working more than 16 hours a day. He says, are you willing to work 7 days a week? Harv worked 7 days a week. He had me working 7 days a week. He says, are you willing to give up most of your weekends? Harv worked every weekend. So did I. Forget about weekends. He says, are you willing to sacrifice seeing your family, your friends, and give up your recreation and hobbies? I guarantee you, Harv gave up all of that. Harv would not see his family sometimes for a month or 6 weeks at a time. I was running stuff in Vancouver. He might go 6 whole weeks without going home and seeing his wife and kids. I mean, it was unbelievable. Are you willing to risk all your time, all your energy, all your startup capital with no guarantees of returns? Rich people are. Now, I want to end it by talking about this little paragraph that's in. You got to go? Yeah. Okay, thanks again for coming. So I want to end it by talking about this paragraph about this word commitment. Because it's rare. What's the word? Rare. It's really rare when you see someone that's totally committed. Guess who you want to hang with? People that are committed. We're talking about a very few percentage of people. A lot of people say they're committed until it comes time to actually do what it takes, and then you find out what their commitment level really is. Commitment is a level 10 vibration. You guys understand that? And what does he say here? It says W.H. Murray. He says, wrote the following during one of his first Himalayan expeditions. He says, until one is committed, what's the word? Committed. There is hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of initiative and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. Listen closely here. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, then providence moves too. A whole stream of events issues from the decision, raising in one's favor all manner of unforeseen incidents, meetings, and material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come their way. You guys understand what he just wrote? What he wrote here? Yes. Until you commit, the magic won't happen. Once you commit, the magic begins to happen. But the universe knows if you're truly committed or if you're just bullshitting. It'll tell by the vibration and the frequency of your thoughts. True or true? If you are 100% committed and you show it by your actions and your courage and your faith, unforeseen miracles will happen in your life. That's why at times like this, you've got to be committed. You've got to be committed to becoming the best possible person you can be, which includes becoming rich. And the more rich you become, the more people you help, the better the life you live, and the bigger you grow as a person. What could be better than that? That's really, that's the best education all of us can have. How many would agree? So let's stand up for the declaration, which is at the very top of page 72. And let's put our hands on our hearts. I'm going to say it first, and then you guys repeat it after me. I commit to being rich. Let me hear you.
I commit to being rich.
Again.
I commit to being rich.
One more time, twice as loud.
I commit to being rich.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. Instead of high-fiving, we're going to turn to our neighbors, and we're going to give them a namaste like this. So, namaste. Namaste. All right, have a seat, guys. Have a seat. Have a seat. Okay, very good. Have a seat, guys. Good job. All right. Okay, so this is, of course, a very, very unusual time. Does anybody have any announcements? I don't know how many activities are going on these days. We may not have a lot of announcements. Yes, go ahead.
So I know it's not a show and stuff being canceled. I still have an open mic this Friday in Avondale, and I have music to go on Wednesday night.
Okay. All right. For those that want to get out, very good. Anybody else? Yeah, go ahead.
I'm making an offer on a property, and I'm going to be looking for about 250 grand.
Okay, so you're looking for cash.
Cash partner.
Okay, very good. Anybody else?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, George.
As I say, change the water, change the life.
Yeah.
We're talking about leverage today. I'm going to leverage this virus. So I got it in water. It kills 99% of all bacteria and viruses. Come get a flyer for me. You guys want to call me, 602-579-5148. I'll send you water for free.
Okay, free water from George. All right, anybody else? Okay, a couple of things. Pretty much for the time being, other than Tuesday mornings, all of my 2% club stuff, all my Wednesday night stuff, my weekend stuff, we're kind of going to put that on hold for the time being. But almost every single day at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go for a hike. And it's a 90-minute hike, and it's a great time to brainstorm or to share ideas, because I truly believe that now is a great time for everybody to be thinking about, what are my best options? What should I be doing right now so that, you know, I'm going to position myself to be in the best situation moving forward? How many think that's a good idea? So every day I'll pretty much post which days I'm actually going to be doing a hike here at 10:30. So I'm going to run home and change. So it's right down the street at 40th Street, just south of Shea. That's the trailhead. And if you live in Phoenix, you know, it's out in the fresh air. We'll keep our social distancing. But the sunshine and the fresh air is actually healthy for you. And I think brainstorming is still a great thing to do. So other than that, as I said, for the next while, until the world figures out what's going on, the 2% Club, one thing, and I will probably confirm it in the next couple of days. How many of you guys have been through my warrior training? How many guys have never been through my warrior training? So what I'm thinking of doing is offering it for free to everybody. Because I really believe right now, you know what the whole university needs right now? They need warrior mindset. How many would agree? How many have taken my warrior program? How many would agree that right now we need warrior mindset, right? And so, you know, it's a gift that I would be happy to do. And so I'm going to make an announcement. And I just haven't figured out if I'm going to do it like every day for 7 consecutive days, because there are seven different modules, or do it like we've always done it, which is once a week. But I'm thinking that right now, so many people need warrior training that, you know, normally it's a for-fee training, but as long as I can do it with Facebook Live, then that's what I'm going to do. Let's give it up one more time for Corey. And anybody have any last comments or anything, Randy, that you might want to share with us?
Robert Montgomery says aho.
Aho to Robert. Aho.
Antares was online.
Okay, hello, Antares, if he's still there.
Ildi was online.
Oh, hi, Ildi.
About it.
Okay, all right. So you guys have been totally amazing. Give yourselves a round of applause. Great job. And stay healthy, and namaste to all you guys. Great job. Namaste. Great job. Thank you. Okay, good job all around. Shay. Yeah.
40th Street Trailhead.
Yeah, 40.